This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it out.
What up, y'all? It is Andrew Defy, a.k.a. the Gorilla Poet Laureate, a.k.a. the Hoodie God, a.k.a. Spittin' Quarantino, a.k.a. I wear my sunglasses indoors no matter what time it is because my eyes are as sensitive as my heart is, y'all. And we are in for a very, very special treat this morning as we get into the Great Joy Hunt. I'm not even going to tell you who the guest is right at this very second. I'm going to let you wait if you didn't read the description. You know what I'm saying? Because you should always read the directions. So we're going to get into it. Before we bring our guest on, we're going to play a little game that we always play this time of the morning called What's Your Number?
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm going to set it off.
So what is your number, y'all, on a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of purple to yellow, on a scale of turtle to giraffe, on a scale of bean burritos to, I don't know, Cheez-Its? You know what I'm saying? You make your own scale. You know what I mean? No one else can make your scale for you. No one else can define what good looks like for you or what bad looks like for you. What is your number? I'm going to use the typical 1 to 10 scale. You know what I'm saying? Everybody understands that. So I would say this morning I'm at a good 6, 7. I got some of that old man pain going on right now. You know what I'm saying? I need to stretch, need to get some yoga in. I might have to get that in with our special guest as soon as this interview is over. It's one of the many things that she does. But what is your number right now? And again, remember, this ain't for me. You ain't got to tell me what your number is. You know what I mean? You got to tell you what your number is. So we do this to get in the habit of every morning and every night taking stock of our numbers. Where are we at? That way we know where we're trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? I always say that if you can't get to a 10 from a 1. You know what I mean? You got to go from a 1 to a 2. You know what I mean? So you got to know where you at. Let's see. We starting it off with a 10. God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. Let's go. Okay, we got another 7 in the building. Laura, don't worry. We're gonna get you up to at least 8.5 by the time this is over. So we just getting started, but it's good to know where you at. Just so you can tell if this is working for you. You know what I mean? Like some of y'all start at like a good 6, 7, and then you be at like an 8 or a 9 by the time we get done. I'm just gonna tell you. You know how you know that I'm at a 7, which is a little low for me. Because I brought the giant fucking joy juice out today. You know what I'm saying? This you got to be a professional to handle this much joy juice. You know what I mean? That recipe is impeccable. All right. I see a bunch of folks already on the stream, which is super exciting because I have someone who is definitely one of my favorite follows for a multitude of reasons. She is a therapist. She is a performer. She is a yogi. I mean, her government name is Inertia. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're gonna get into it right now on the Great Joy Hint with our special guest, Inertia Dewitt.
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off.
What up?
What up?
Yo, so I'm gonna let you introduce yourself so you can tell the people who you are, and then I'm gonna tell the very funny story of how you and I met.
Word. I was thinking that was quite the intro. My government name. Yeah, it's true. It's true. My government name is actually Inertia, QED, Dewitt. My middle name is an abbreviation of a Latin phrase that you use at the end of a proof in math. Like, what? I don't know. It's cool. I love it. But yeah, I loved how you introduced me. I'm all of those things, and first I'm a human. I'm an energy being, first and
Mm,
foremost,
mm.
and I'm a creative. I think that's just like, I mean, we all are, but yeah, that's my spirit right there, and I love to be able to infiltrate spaces in this kind of way of like, yeah, I'm a therapist, but like we're really going to be doing like somatic work. Like most people are like, let's talk. I'm like, yeah, we're going to just like get into the body, you know? But yeah, therapist, coach, yogi, performer, all of it.
And a Wonder Woman.
And a Wonder Woman. That is true. That is true.
So how long has that been now? It had to be 2015, 2016,
No, I think
maybe.
it might have been because I was doing a lot of that 2017. I think it
Okay.
was 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So around about 2017, the ZFG crew decides, we're taking on busking. We're working to make street performance not only like legal but celebrated in Sacramento. So we organized this thing called Busking Day. A whole bunch of wildly talented musicians came out. Ended up being a little rendezvous outside of what's the name of that store?
Mars building.
Yeah, it was the Mars building. It was like
Get
where
a clue?
yeah. Exactly. That's how long I haven't been out of the house. I forgot what Get a Clue was called. I almost
Right.
called it Good Stock. So shout out to Get a Clue. They let us post up and use some of their power to hook up some of the instruments, and it ended up being an all-star jam session. So we had a whole lot of fun. We're jamming out, and then all of a sudden, this woman walks up in this Wonder Woman costume, and I'm like, yo, I have no idea who this is, but we are bound and determined to be the best of friends. I know that much. And then she grabbed the microphone, and then it was really on. Then it was really like, oh, we're besties. She doesn't know it yet, but we are besties. So Inertia was doing a whole series of American Wonder Woman performances. That were so deep, and I didn't even realize that we had that kind of performance art going on in Sacramento at that time. So it was something really different to me. And if you know me, I love some weirdo shit. You know what I mean? And I use that with like the most praise and the most love. Like Inertia is one of my favorite weirdos in the city of Sacramento.
Yeah, weirdo for life. Yeah.
Well, and it's really dope. There's a lot of folks who, I just had Rashawn from Unseen Heroes on last week, and he's another one that we met under the guise of hip hop and performing and rapping. And then all of a sudden we're sitting here talking about alignment and the law of attraction and, all of these spiritual practices where it's like, bro, if you and me, when we met, would have run into us now, would have been like, yo, what happened to you guys? Like, where do you run into the little magical beings that teach you about enlightenment? So it's cool. It's always cool to me to go from like performance side to this healing modality, right?
Yeah.
And so that's
and all
something
of that intersects. Like it's all tied in.
Yeah. So I started following the American Wonder Woman, and then I got to know the therapist, the healer, the yogi. So, one thing we like to talk about here at the Joy Hunt first is your style of joy hunting. So I am of the belief, and I may be right, there may be other styles out there. I'm just learning this thing. But my idea is there's either you renew your energy for everyday things and find your joy there, or you find new things to be joyful about. Are you a joy recycler, or do you find your joy new?
Interesting. I mean, I don't want to be difficult, but like a true Gemini, I'm like both. Both for sure. And for me, it's totally about like a balance of like getting in with the things that I know, like my tried and true, right? Like my sustaining things. But I have to have that exploration and like testing out new waters for sure.
Well, I think that's common for a lot of folks. I try to put my emphasis on loving the things that I have every day. Right? Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's a clear, if you watch the show, you'll see me every day talking about the sunshine, my dog, and my juice. Like these are the three things that I need in life, just kind of to keep me going.
Right.
Um, and then there's like the rituals, right? And that's what else I really like to pick people's brains about, and especially with someone who, like, you do the mental, emotional, spiritual, like you're working on you're firing on all cylinders over here as far as well-being goes.
Yeah.
So what are your rituals? What are your well-being rituals?
Yeah. First and foremost, I like to start my days. I pretty much always start my days moving with ease and really allowing myself like a gradual rise, a gradual awakening, like letting myself really savor those early morning moments with myself, being really quiet and slow and like in my bed. Like I don't touch the floor for a while, like I'm up, but I'm in my own space at that time. And that's probably my favorite ritual.
Where
It's just
is
giving myself that spaciousness,
where is your phone?
right now
No, no, no.
or
When
in the
you
morning.
when you wake up, when you're doing
Oh,
that alone time, is your
yeah, yeah,
phone
yeah.
is it
It,
involved,
it,
or is it
no, I try to not do that. That puts me into work mode. But sometimes I'll have to I might put some music on, just to kind of like keep that rhythm. You know what I mean? Just some like ambient sound, some soothing music. That I might get that. I might hit that, but then I put it away and just try to like really connect with where am I at, because every day you're in a different place, you know what I mean? And I really like to tune into and attune to myself in that way, process the dreams of whatever I might have had the night before, kind of reflecting on what am I doing today. Definitely, hold space for some gratitude, but also just like prepping the day of like, yeah, like how do I want to feel today? That's one of my favorite questions to ask in the morning. How do I want to feel today? Some days I need more motivation. Other days I'm like, I just want to have fun, like it depends. Right. So I like to have that morning ritual. And then there's like this ongoing ritual that I have throughout the day, which is, to actually like come into my inner awareness and remind myself that I can soften my belly and I can breathe. That's just like a little quiet ritual to myself. Just like, oh yeah, I can soften my belly, I can breathe. It's cool. And I do that periodically throughout the day.
yo, and that's so crucial. Someone pointed that out to me a while back, to just every once in a while become conscious of your breathing and how deep you're breathing. A lot of us breathe real shallow. Like
Right.
I take like a quarter of a breath normally, like if I'm not actually like working on it.
Right.
So I think that's like spot on. And then you said one of these words that keeps popping up for me, and it's not the way that I'd ever kind of put it, but I love this word savoring, right? Like this, I feel like this is, we've been really meditating on the future is anxiety, the past is trauma, right? And like this moment, the present moment is like
Mhm.
literally all we have.
Mhm.
And the idea of savoring being one of those things that can really help bring you to the present moment.
Right.
I have a little helper with that. She's outside this morning because she got hella muddy paws, and I'm not even trying to deal with it in this white ass hoodie. But this little dog, the other day, I was sitting there, I was like, she crawled up on me. She was hella cute. And I was like, oh, let me get a picture of this for the grant. And I'm like trying to take the
Right.
picture, and she's just not about the fucking picture. Like she just wants me to love her. Like, why are
Right.
you
Like
trying to like capture our cuteness, Dad? This isn't for everyone else. This is for us.
right
And it
here,
was
right
like,
now.
it was that good reminder to like be present and like just can you just enjoy this moment instead of trying to put it on the gram for everyone else to enjoy it? Like just Can you just love me? So I
Right.
think it's there's a lot of that savoring, and that's something that I'm trying to really get into the practice of. Is like in the moment,
Yeah.
be like, "Fuck, I'm washing all these dishes." Yeah, but I like got all these dishes. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, definitely, yeah, practicing gratitude for all that I have and all that I've been able to experience up until this point is for sure on that list of practices, but there's also something about like um so for example, yesterday I decided I need to get out. Like I need to get out of my neighborhood and my comfort of the familiar, of the things that I'm grateful for, right? But I definitely need to like get out. And I pushed myself to take this dance class. Now, I'm a dancer. I love dance. So that's not the big step, but it was a style of dance that I'm like not really that comfortable with. It's like I'm going to do this. And it was so fun. It was so good. Shout out to Yenny Lucero. Like that class was amazing. I'm still like feeling the goodness of it. And for me that's part of like, okay, but you got to like explore other things. Like I was in a different neighborhood, different people, different style of dance, new teacher, like um and it really fueled me. It really fueled me, and so I'm grateful for those things too.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, I always say that if you have two options, do the scarier one. Like
Mhm.
it feels like that one always feels better afterwards.
Mhm.
Um, so you know we've been going through a little bit of collective trauma for the last
What?
year or so. You might be aware there's this thing called the coronavirus. It's going around. Uh, so as a therapist,
Right.
number one, what are some of the struggles you're seeing people deal with and be confronted with in all of this,
Mhm.
and then how are what tips for like mental health? We'll I'm certain that we will tap into spirituality as well. I'm talking on the base level of mental health. Any tips, any suggestions for folks that are going through it right now?
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like there's this interesting paradox of a lot of people are going, "Whoa, I thought this could be really bad," but like a lot of my clients are like, "Secretly, it's kind of good. Like there's some benefits." And I'm like, "Yeah, because you're like actually able to have a little bit less, expectation, right?" But on the flip of that, I think there's this unnamed, well, maybe it's not unnamed, but it's less easy to like touch and hold and like smell, you know what I mean? This grief and the loss of our familiars, of our routines that really did nourish us. And I think that there's a struggle to say I'm really sad, or I'm really longing for, this practice that I used to be able to do that is just not available to me based on the circumstances, because I think people are afraid to not be grateful for what they have.
Right, right.
So I feel like that's the most common thing that I'm seeing across the board. Everybody's personal stuff is so variable, but missing, just the longing, the missing, the grief, the yearning, and what that does to us, that agitation of like, okay, like I need something, you know what I mean? And all our shadow stuff is like really like, oh hey, remember me? Let's do this. It's
Right,
coming,
right,
it's trying
right.
to come out and play, but it's trying to resolve an unmet need, but sometimes they do it in like, kind of heavy-handed ways. But as far as like a mental health tip in these times, I would have to say, I'm always going to say something about the body, even though you're asking me about mental health, right? But like, get in your body, like go outside, go for the walk. Um, if you're able, spend some time with people, even if you are, spaced out. Like it's so important. I've heard of people who literally have not fucked with nobody like this whole time. Like they're like, we haven't even gone to the grocery store. We're doing everything online. I'm like, that's not healthy. Like there's a balance here of the risk factor involved in, being more exposed, which everyone, again, it's a subjective thing. You have to figure out what's right for you. But being so isolated, like we're not meant for that. That's really unhealthy for our mind, our body, our soul. Like it's not right. So I would say, yeah, like challenge yourself. If you're stuck in the house all day, like really challenge yourself, get those steps in, move some energy, dance, do something.
Yeah. I find that movement being super helpful. I'm very lucky here to have a backyard. I know a lot
Yeah.
of the folks in Midtown are kind of in just in apartments. You know what I mean? So it's a
Right.
little bit harder. Like you have to make a little bit more of a concerted effort to like get outside, take a walk. But I think
Hmm.
that's like such sage advice. And just thanks for taking us back to the body, because we be forgetting that it's all connected, right? Like I'd
Hmm.
be like,
Hmm.
man, what does my mental health need right now? Why do I not feel good? And then I'm like, bro, you have not sat outside and gotten any sunshine in 3 days. Like your
Hmm.
body just needs some vitamin D.
Hmm.
Like it's
Right. Right.
it's
And
not
to
even,
not
it's
be
not your
looking at a
mental health.
screen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got
Yeah.
Tom weighed in, said, I got some guilt about the gains I have made during this pandemic. And
Exactly. Yeah.
and there's so many, I'm glad this is starting to be talked about, and that we're finding a little bit of balance in this, because I know a lot of people who had, whether it was personal like financial gains, whether it was, because I mean a lot of folks who were like working from home, who didn't have to commute. They weren't spending money on lunch
Right.
anymore. They weren't
Right.
like
Right.
a lot of these things. So folks benefited financially. I know for
Right.
myself, like health wise, like
Hmm.
I was able to quit smoking cigarettes. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I was able to really nurture my relationship with me, because
Yeah.
I've been at the house for 11 months solo.
Right.
And I
Present.
know
Right.
I know a lot of folks who really gained some spiritual work, and really gained some like spiritual connection with themselves, and we're not celebrating it because we don't want to offend, right?
Exactly.
Like because we know that there were so many people lost. A lot of us lost people. Like I have
Yeah.
a lot of grief around the people who have been lost, and the people who I
Hmm.
know who have been lost,
Hmm.
to all of this. But it's important that we as humans are able to celebrate our wins, right,
Yeah.
and celebrate our gains. So I think having these conversations, for a while I was calling this backyard talk, where I would talk to people and be like, yo, don't let this shit out the front door. But
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
really thankful in a lot of ways for this pandemic, and for being the way that it sat me down, the way that I was able to go inside and really do some of that shadow work that I would have kept myself too distracted to do otherwise.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so
And for me, on a very like meta, spiritual level, cosmic like perspective level, I think that is the purpose of this experience. So I'm a depth psychologist or psychotherapist, and that's basically saying I look at things as a metaphor of like what's the deeper meaning, right? And we all do this. We all make meaning out of everything. And so, one of the questions that like a depth psychotherapist might ask is like, well, what is the pandemic, or what is COVID-19, like what's the message for us, right? Or like what does it want from us? What is it offering? And so like on one very, obvious level, it's telling us it's kind of sick out here. There's some, it's sick. We're sick out here. Like things are not great, right? Like you need to stay home. And then that reprieve, right? Like the staying in reveals so much, because what's sick isn't really the virus. Like the virus itself isn't like so much of the issue as our systems that cannot support us as a community, as a species, because our systems are sick, right? Like
right,
the hospital situation, like that, they're not set up to support something like this. They could be, but they're not. Our
right.
government, like on all levels, not education, like everything's not set up to properly support us in the evolution that we're in and the place that we're going.
Mm.
So to have something that is globally affecting the planet on this magnitude, like to me, there is such a huge invitation here. It's like a master reset. It's like, okay, yeah, we need to come home. We need to come home to self. We need to stay in, and we need to reflect, and we need to be with. We need to actually attune with this mechanism, this system, right? And while I absolutely feel, grief in my heart and have compassion for the actual people who have lost friends and family and so forth, I'm also very much like personally, right? Like personally, I very much trust that like they're still here. And I feel like we're always communicating and communing with the spirits that are in non-physical form. That doesn't mean that we don't have that longing for, the physical touch and the closeness, right? But there's something that I feel like relief in when it's like, yeah, they're not here, but they are here, for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're in, it's like, I don't think that should diminish our creative capacity to take the calling of this moment and actually level up, right? Like I'm stoked for people who are like, yeah, I did start my business. I did leave that crazy job, or that job left me because there was no room for me anymore. And thank you for that unemployment that has helped me sustain the next, 6 months or whatever has been for you, right? Like, yeah, receive that blessing. How about you practice receiving that? Receiving the support, because so many of us don't know how to receive. We talk about giving and being open, but we don't talk about receiving. Like that's a whole other practice. So I feel like there's many opportunities for blessings, in the last year and continued. And I hope that it is less like taboo and like secretive to just be like, yeah, like I did come up, and not necessarily. I think that people are afraid of being like, oh, I came up and it's like because of this, or like I exploited something. It's like, nah, like take advantage of the moment. Yes, seize the moment for you to be in more alignment with you, because when you are, you're not exploiting. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I mean, I think also, something I've really been grappling with for months now is this idea of just how big we are as humans, and that we can hold joy and grief at the same time. And this idea, something I got thinking about last week was that joy, the difference between joy and happiness, right? Like happiness being this conditional thing, right? Like it's a response to something outward, where joy comes from inward. So joy is allowed to go places that happiness isn't allowed to go, like sadness, right? Like I had a very sad situation last week where I had to kind of put myself into feeling some of those sad things. I was writing a poem to honor someone who had passed. So I had to take myself into sadness. So I realized, like, as I'm getting in the gate to sadness, the sadness bouncer is like, nah, you ain't bringing that happiness in here, bruh. But joy was allowed to come. And joy was not really in the moment being joyful. Joy was just like kind of tapping me on the shoulder every once in a while to be like, it's going to be cool. You're going to get back, And then I see my love Jen typing in gentleness and patience with the regression that pops up because of the grief. Being gentle with yourself when that grief pops up. And I think that's big for a lot of us. Where'd you go? I can't hear you. We're having technical difficulties right now, ladies and gentlemen. Third gender non-binary loves. We are working it out right now. Nope. Nothing. Something's going on with the ear pods. Oh. Try it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You're back. I'm back.
You're back.
Okay. Oh, that was weird. Okay. I'm reminded of your little warning, your warning, this is a frequency, and if your frequency changes, that's on you, right? Like you did that. And this comment about,
the regressions, like kind of going in and out of things, right? And our ability to hold joy and grief and all of it, the whole complex spectrum of expression, like all of those things are frequencies, right? All of those things are vibes or waves, like literally. and and we have our own rhythms, right? Like I think there's something about like really being able to, like when I say attune, I mean attuning with, okay, what's the rhythm that I'm in? Okay, over here there's this joy frequency, but in this back corner there's also like this other bass note. You know what I mean? Like there's this other melancholy or sorrow or whatever that's like with me. And I can move into both, or there's something else over here. There's also like anxiety or anticipation, all of it. Like I have access to all of it. And I think I want to like feel like you're saying this too. Like, let's normalize that. Like, that's actually healthy to be able to have this range, this whole range of expression and the awareness of it, right? If we're stuck in one, if we're rigid in one, like that's actually not healthy either, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think the normalizing. That's funny because when Laura put up, she put up EM, and I was like, does she mean E minor? And she's like, my E minor chord. Yeah, yeah, and I think it is that normalization. And that's why again I think it's really dope that we were able to kind of flip to the part of the pandemic where like, yo, like I benefited. I was able to work on myself. I was able to progress myself. I was able to, and I think a lot of folks, I think about the people on this feed specifically who are talking about the guilt that they're having about their gains. And I know these people personally are out here using those gains to help the community. You know what I'm saying? So, also take some of that into stock, y'all. The more abundance that we have, the more gifts that we learn to receive, the more gifts that we can also give. So, don't beat yourselves up.
If you didn't make it, like if you didn't, level up with something, like that's okay too. I don't know what happened. I hope that I hope we're able to get reconnected. I think I'm the Joy Hunt host all of a sudden. I don't know. Hmm. Well, if I am still live and if I am the host, I'm gonna just keep talking because we gotta keep this conversation going. I have no idea if it's working though. No idea. I see the little button up here says live. The time is still going, but I have no host. Um, but yeah, I was really thinking about holding that spectrum too, like for folks who are like, nah, like I didn't like come up in these ways as like maybe starting the business that you wanted or doing the healing work or whatever. Like it doesn't have to look a certain way. And I think that there's so much room for receiving the call and like going with the flow of this evolution that we're in. And it might look like, yeah, no, I just like got really indulgent with my depression or with my anxiety, and I met that in a real way that maybe I hadn't understood before. And I think that there's value in that too. Like whatever your experience is, I think we got to trust that and give ourselves permission to have that experience, whatever that experience is, especially yeah, especially just like meeting that guilt, like the guilt for your experience, like that. I think if we can let that go, that'd be great. You know, like you're having your experience. There's no reason to feel guilty for any of that. Because it is what it is. And I don't mean that in a trite way. All right, I'm gonna see if I can make some connection here, see what's going on with Andrew. I don't know what happened. You know, as even though like Mercury retrograde is over, Mercury retrograde is over, I swear I've been having so many tech issues this last week or so, and I'm just like, okay, I guess this is where we're at. I always think of these like glitches as like, you know, like those glitches in the Matrix, right? In the movie The Matrix, where you like know something's off, like they just updated the system. I like to believe that that's what's going on. Like, yeah, there's too many updates in the system. Like the system's crashing a little bit here because it just can't keep up with all this improvement we're doing collectively. And maybe it's an opportunity to like, I don't know, just regroup. Um, Man, I don't know. I can't even. I'm trying to give him a little message on the side here. I don't know what's happening. But it still says live, and it's still showing me the time is ticking. So yeah. Oh.
Look, here I am. This is so wild. Every once in a while, it just does this to me.
I thought it was me.
I'm glad we had a professional here, though.
I don't know if I'm on. I don't know, but I'm just gonna keep talking a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're definitely on. You've been on the whole time. I'm here as well. You can move the mic. Yeah. I don't know if this is like, yo, you didn't pay your internet bill on time, or like what exactly is going on, you know, but we'll figure it out. So where were we?
Mercury retrograde, right? Like it usually affects me like on the beginning and the tail end, and it was heavy this last cycle, but it's like still going, and I'm really like I'm trying to frame it as like, you know, when there's a glitch in the Matrix in that movie, and they're like system update. I'm like, yeah, we're just in a system update right now. Like too many of us are leveling up. There's just all these like glitchy things happening.
Well, if I don't have to stay in front of this green screen right now, then I'm gonna go outside and catch some sunshine while I talk to y'all. So where were we? I see Tom saying to sage the house. I said, this is how you know what you said is important. Technology glitches.
Truth.
I see. Okay, so where were we? I think this is a good place to start. You can't have a healthy mind with an unhealthy body. Everything connected. And then Tom says the Matrix can't handle the truth. Oh, I can't hear out here. Y'all about to get the cribs. All right, and to here you'll see my dirty ass kitchen, and over here, I'm just kidding. Y'all ain't getting that close a look. So let's see. Before we get out of here, I see Tor jumping in on the post. What up? So we're we're doing what we can. We're doing our best with the technical difficulties as they would be. But you know, that's what we do. I can't hear you again. Oh, the whole Matrix trying to shut us down right now. They cut Inertia's volume. They cut my internet off. That's how you know that we're doing some real magic over here.
I think that right, like we're leveling up to a expansive version of ourselves. It's not just this like physical idea. These things are totally related. Like we are part of this global system that's also physical, emotional, mental. They don't feel your energy and your emotional vibe, right? Like we're part of one system, and it's not cliche and it's not new age. Like it's literally true. And the whole spectrum of experience, right? And like that morning check-in that I do, it's like sometimes I need to tend more to my physical experience, and sometimes I need to tend more to my spiritual experience. You know, if it's them out, you know, I think the invitation that's coming from this whole pandemic situation, the lockdown, is like getting real about what matters to you and like your value system, your belief system, because while everything else is like you're dealing with decay, you know, like the systems like at large are like decaying in front of us and really just like blatantly showing us the ugly truth, you know. We're called to reassess our own value system and our belief systems because we actually are alignment with that, by living more in alignment with that. And so like, yeah, it might feel really scary to be like, no, I'm not ever going to go back to that, you know, corporate job or whatever. Like I am going to go for this thing that feels really meaningful to me. I'm going to pour into that. I'm going to make that my priority. Like that sends a ripple. That sends a ripple through everything, right? And the more that each individual person can tap into their own joy state and their flow state and all of those like yummy things and hold space for the whole paradoxical, you know, spectrum of experience, like we each feel, and that's a ripple effect too. That's a whole ripple effect too.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right on it because we consistently talk about ripples on this show, and just the idea that you can't. I don't believe you can teach anyone anything. I think that people learn through the clarity of your example. So, you know, I think the more that we take those steps to, you know, pursue our own expansion, pursue our own development, whatever that looks like, I think other folks pick that up. You know, it wasn't until I met Anand and Estella and the folks over at Soul Collective that I was like, oh, you can just do this. Oh, okay.
Like, can I teach? Do we teach? I think we definitely model. And that's the best kind of teaching, to actually just do it and be it, because then people can feel it. It's not just that they see you doing it and hear you doing it; they feel you. Vibe over here, you're in this flow over here. I actually feel that, and if I'm, you know, dissonant, if my frequency is dissonant with that, like I'm gonna hear it, you know, I'm gonna feel that too, and I might want to level up with you. Or I might go, wow, that I'm not there yet, and I need to go somewhere else to like find harmony within myself, you know.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've got somewhere to be, but before we get out of here, Number one, thanks for sticking through all of these, all the retrogradeness that's happening right now. Um, any last tips, any last tricks, any last life hacks, be they as a creative, as a therapist, as a whatever hat that you want to put on right now, to leave the people with something.
In the present moment. Your mind can be at anywhere, everywhere. You know, your mind can be in the past, it can be on Mars, it can be, you know, in a whole other dimension, but your body, your physical body is always in the present moment and it's a resource for you. It's always available for you to tap into, to connect with, and to um, learn from and to resource from, right? Like it's like mindfulness is
Uh, I heard most of that. Uh, man. So here's what I'm going to throw out there right now is that this is part one of the Great Joy Hunt with the two of us. I think we'll have to schedule. We'll see when we can next get Inertia in for the full experience when my internet is not hating on me. You know what I mean? Um, so I think we're going to jump out of here now. I know we both got some meetings coming up. So I got to figure out my internet right now before this second meeting. But I appreciate all of y'all tuning in. Appreciate you coming by, Inertia. This is a fantastic conversation, and I know you and I could go for a couple more hours. I'm already getting people texting me that are like, I love the show today. And then equally as much, I love the show today as, yo, your phone mic is cutting her out. I can't hear what she's saying. So we will definitely get this fixed and then be right back at y'all. Um, that's it. You know, I think we're gonna call that the show today, um, for the American Wonder Woman, Inertia Dewitt. I am Andrew Defy, and I love you, and you can't do shit